Now let's talk about how we can classify variables. There's a number of different ways to classify variables. First, we can look at them by types, which indicates what the number or in the data set represents. So nominal would be identity or classification, such as gender, and then ordinal would be a ranked or ordered variable, similar to a scale asking you how likely are you to recommend drinking soda daily to a friend, from not likely to very likely. An interval would be an order with equal units, but no true zero. So this would be intelligence test scores, the IQ scores. And then ratio would be ordered with equal units and an absolute zero. So an example of this would be height measured in inches. Another way to think about variables is continuous or discrete. So continuous would be measured along a continuum at any place beyond the decimal point. Discrete would be separate and indivisible categories, whole numbers only. Then another way to look at variables would be quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative varies by amount, while qualitative varies by form or class. So qualitative is more long, open questions looking for responses that are more descriptive and long and words, whereas quantitative is more numeric. Another way to look at this, here are some examples of different variables. We'll just go through a few of them and identify them as continuous or discrete, qualitative, quantitative, and how the scale is. That was that first option on the previous slide. So let's look at gender or sex as male and female. So this is measured discretely because there's two categories that are non-numeric. It's also a qualitative because these are categories. They are not numeric. And then the scale would be nominal because they're categories and there's no order. Next let's look at number of dreams recalled. So here we have a discrete value. It's quantitative because it's a number, and it's ratio because there is that 0 point. 0 would be they never recalled a dream, whereas 10 would be they recalled 10. Ranking of favorite foods is another good example where we have a discrete value. It is quantitative because it's numeric, ranked in order, and because it is ranked in an order, it's considered ordinal. And then an example of interval, let's look at temperature in Fahrenheit. This is measured on a continuous scale. So it's a scale measured quantitatively with numbers, and it is interval because there is no true zero. So for this class, it gets a bit confusing to use all three of those distinctions. So when I ask you to describe variables, I'm going to ask for the level of measurement. And these are the three categories that they will fit into. So nominal, identity or classification into groups. So an example would be gender, measured as male, female, and transgender. So there's three categorical groups. Categorical just meaning categories. And then ordinal is ranked or ordered categories in a variable. It has to have at least three of these categories in order to be considered ordinal. So an example here would be BMI classification, measured as underweight, normal weight, overweight, or obese. And then continuous is measured along a continuum, and it can only be numeric values. So an example of this would be an Olympic sprinter's time to finish a race, and it's measured in seconds. So that time could be anything from theoretically 0 to an endless number in time. Let's look at some examples. For this first one, seasons, based on those 3 categories we just talked about in levels of measurement, how would we describe the level of measurement in seasons? It would be nominal, because there's 4 categories that can't be ordered. What about number of dreams recalled? How is that measured in those 3 options, nominal, ordinal, or continuous? It would be continuous because there's a range of values that are not in an order, and they're numeric. Number of errors. So since this is a scale from 0 to however many errors there could be, it would be continuous, and it's a number, not a category. Duration of drug abuse in years. So if you ask this question on a survey, how long have you been considered a drug abuser? Someone may respond 1 year, 7 years, 20 years. Those are some examples of responses. So what level of measurement would that be? Continuous. It's continuous because it's on a range of values that are numeric. What if I asked you to rank your top 5 favorite foods? So if you had to pick 5 foods and put them in order from your most favorite to your least favorite of your top 5, what would that level of measurement look like? It would be ordinal. So let's say my top foods are pizza, ice cream, apples, bananas, and let's think of something else good here. Strawberries. Now I'm going to rank those from my most favorite, which would be pizza, to my least favorite, maybe which is strawberries. So in there is values of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they're categories, so my 5 favorite foods may not be the same as yours. So what would we consider this? Ordinal. Next, body type, with the options of pear, apple-shaped, or slender. So pear being wider hips, apple being a bigger stomach area, and slender just being kind of straight up and down. This would be measured as nominal because there are 3 categories, but they're not ordered. One is not inherently better than another. The next example is exam score. So if you can get a 0 to a 100 on an exam, what would that level of measurement be? Continuous. Since the scale goes from 0 to 100 and it's numeric, it's continuous. Next is temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So think of this as a really cold day when the temperature maybe is 2 degrees versus a day in the summer when the temperature is maybe 95 degrees. How is this measured? Continuously, because it's a range of numeric values. Next, let's look at political affiliation, with the categories of Republican, Democrat, and Independent. How would we identify this level of measurement for this question? It would be measured nominally, because there are 3 categories, so one is not inherently better than another. I know we could debate that, but we're not going to. We're just going to say that one group is not inherently better than another. So it would be measured nominally. Next, letter grade in a course. So if the letter grade options are A, B, C, or F, how is that measured? Ordinally, because these are categories, they're not numeric values, and getting an A is inherently better than getting an F, or a B, or a C. And then weight in pounds, what level of measurement would that be? Continuous, because an individual's weight can vary from birth to death. So that would be a range of numeric values. So it's continuous.